In the shadowed halls of imperial Rome, beneath the marble facades and golden statues, a silent force gathered its strength, a brotherhood of warriors whose loyalty and ambition would shape the fate of emperors and the destiny of the empire itself. These were the Praetorian Guard, Rome's elite protectors, born from the vision of Augustus in 27 BCE, forged from the toughest veterans, and destined to become not just bodyguards, but kingmakers, conspirators, and sometimes executioners. Their saga is one of power, betrayal, and the blood-soaked struggle for control at the heart of civilization. Imagine 9 cohorts, each numbering nearly 1,000 men, handpicked for their skill and valor, clad in scarlet cloaks and gleaming armor. Their shields bore the imperial eagle, their helmets crested and adorned to signify their elevated status. These men were more than soldiers. They were the emperor's shadow, his shield against assassins, and his sword against rebellion. They patrolled the palaces, stood watch during processions, and policed the teeming streets of Rome. Their barracks, the Castra Praetoria, became a fortress within the city, a place of privilege, intrigue, and deadly ambition. From the very beginning, they enjoyed privileges denied to the rank-and-file legionaries. Their pay was 3 times higher, their service term a mere 16 years compared to 25. They wore ceremonial gear at public events, and their urban lifestyle gave them access to the luxuries and intellectual treasures of Rome. Allowed to marry and mingle with the city's elite, they became symbols of power and aspiration. Yet beneath this veneer of loyalty, the fires of ambition smoldered. To be a Praetorian was to walk the razor's edge between service and supremacy. But as the empire grew, so did the power of the Guard. Emperors became increasingly reliant on their protection, and with every succession, the Praetorians realized their true leverage. The reign of Sejanus, the ambitious prefect under Tiberius, marked a turning point. With cunning and ruthlessness, Sejanus manipulated the imperial court, orchestrated the downfall of rivals, and amassed control that rivaled the emperor himself. The Praetorian prefect became the most dangerous man in Rome, wielding the loyalty of thousands and the threat of sudden violence. It was the Praetorians who first shattered the illusion of imperial invincibility. In 41 CE, in the palace corridors, they turned on Caligula, the emperor they had sworn to protect, and stabbed him 30 times, each blow a declaration that no throne was safe. The aftermath was chaos, but out of it, the Guard declared Claudius emperor, plucking him from hiding and raising him to power. With this act, they crossed a line. No longer mere protectors, they were the arbiters of Rome's destiny, capable of making or unmaking emperors with a single decision. Over the next centuries, the Praetorian Guard's assassination record grew infamous. Galba, Vitellius, Domitian, Commodus, Pertinax, Geta. More than a dozen rulers met their ends at Praetorian hands. Sometimes the motive was discipline, sometimes money, sometimes pure political calculation. While enemies outside Rome trembled at the legions, it was the Praetorians within the walls who posed the greater threat. Emperors lived in fear, knowing their protectors could become their executioners at the slightest misstep. The corruption reached its zenith in 193 CE, a year that stunned even the most hardened veterans. When Emperor Pertinax tried to impose discipline, the Guard murdered him after just 87 days on the throne, his blood staining the marble as a warning to all who would challenge their authority. Then, in an act that would echo through history, they auctioned off the empire itself. It was not a war or a rebellion that decided Rome's fate, but a cold transaction. Didius Julianus, a wealthy senator, won the throne by offering each Praetorian a staggering sum, equivalent to millions today. This ultimate betrayal sparked civil war, as provincial armies refused to recognize the purchased emperor. For 66 days, Julianus ruled by the grace of the Guard, until he too was executed, another casualty of their relentless ambition. Inside their fortified camp, the Praetorians lived as privileged citizens, surrounded by training grounds, libraries, and theaters. Their social status soared, and many became centurions or administrators after service. Their network stretched across the empire. Urban cohorts policed the city, cavalry units responded to threats, and spies gathered intelligence on enemies both foreign and domestic. They monitored senators, generals, even imperial family members, controlling access to the ruler and influencing every major decision. Their presence at Senate meetings was enough to sway votes. Their control of public crowds could make or break an emperor's reputation. The prefects who commanded them became legends in their own right. Sejanus, Burrus, Tigellinus, Casperius, Aelianus, Plautianus, Macrinus, Philip the Arab, each wielded power that could rival even the emperor. Some, like Macrinus and Philip, seized the throne themselves, proving that the path from bodyguard to ruler was not just possible, but increasingly common. Yet with great power came great risk. The guard's machinations drained the imperial treasury. Bribes, bonuses, and the costs of civil war weakened the empire from within. Their interference in politics undermined stability, damaged trade, and sowed distrust throughout the provinces. Their infamous conspiracies, alliances with senators, generals, and freedmen, became the stuff of legend, fueling palace intrigues and succession crises. They manipulated omens and religious ceremonies, twisted economic policies, and worked hand in glove with Rome's most powerful families. As the centuries passed, the Guard's composition shifted. Under Septimius Severus, the old Italian elite was replaced by hardened soldiers from the frontiers, men who had tasted real battle, whose loyalty was bought with even greater rewards. The Guard swelled to 15,000, its influence stretching further than ever. But as Rome descended into crisis, their power fragmented. During the military anarchy of the 3rd century, they supported rival emperors, playing all sides in the deadly game for the throne. Their end came with Constantine, the first Christian emperor who saw the danger in their unchecked power. After the Battle of the Milvian Bridge, he disbanded the Guard, replacing them with new units stripped of political influence. The Praetorian camp was abandoned, its ruins left as a silent warning. No protection force should ever hold the fate of a nation in its grasp. Yet the legacy of the Praetorian Guard endures. Their story is told by Tacitus, Suetonius, and Cassius Dio, etched into the ruins of their fortress, remembered in novels, films, and the lessons of political science. They are a reminder that even the most trusted protectors can become the greatest threat, that the concentration of military power without oversight can undermine the very foundation of civilization. On the blood-soaked battlefields of Roman history, the Praetorian Guard stood first among warriors, feared, envied, and ultimately corrupted by the very power they swore to defend. Their fate is a cliffhanger for the ages, a cautionary tale of loyalty turned to betrayal, of protectors who became kingmakers, and of an empire forever changed by the ambitions of its own guardians. The question remains, who guards the guardians? And when loyalty falters, who survives the deadly dance of power at the heart of ancient war?